Emily Carter vanished on a Tuesday. No warning, no note, no goodbye. At 6:43 a.m., a neighbor saw her standing on her porch in Brookfield, coffee mug in hand, smiling at the quiet street like any other morning. By 7:15, her car was still in the driveway. By nightfall, her phone was dead. And by midnight, her husband was sitting at the kitchen table, telling police his wife had simply not come home. The word missing entered the system at 12:07 a.m. By sunrise, the town was already convinced of something worse. Emily Carter was 32 years old, a dental hygienist, a mother, the kind of woman people described as sweet, soft-spoken, and always smiling. Her social media looked like proof of a happy life: family dinners, birthday candles, selfies with captions about gratitude. She never complained, never posted vague quotes about pain, never hinted at trouble. Her husband, Mark Carter, embodied stability, a financial analyst, calm, polite, well-spoken. When officers arrived that night, he already had timelines prepared. He handed over passwords without being asked. He cried once quietly, then apologized for it. "She wouldn't leave our son," he said firmly. "She wouldn't do that." Everyone believed him. People brought casseroles. Churches held vigils. Posters went up on telephone poles. The town mourned a woman who seemed to have been taken from a perfect life. But perfect lives don't usually leave behind unfinished dinners. Detective Sarah Lowell joined the case 3 days in. She didn't like how clean it was. Emily's purse was on the counter. Her car hadn't moved. Her son's asthma medication sat by the sink. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. No witnesses. Disappearing without preparation was one thing. Disappearing without instinct was another. Sarah interviewed coworkers, friends, neighbors. "She smiled a lot," one coworker said. "She always said she was fine," another added. "She seemed tired," someone whispered, as if saying it louder might betray her. Then came the neighbor across the street. Ruth, retired, observant. "She used to sit in her car after work," Ruth said. "Engine off, lights out, just sitting there." "Talking on the phone?" Sarah asked. "No," Ruth replied. Thinking, that word stuck. As days passed, the narrative shifted. Maybe Emily was overwhelmed. Maybe she had postpartum depression. Maybe she had met someone. Mark suggested it gently, never outright accusing her. "She worried a lot," he told detectives. "She doubted herself. Sometimes she imagined problems where there weren't any." Imagined. Sarah requested Emily's phone records. Nothing unusual. Social media, carefully curated happiness. Emails? Normal until one folder appeared buried deep in her account history. An email address no one knew about. Inside were drafts. Not messages. Not confessions. Fragments. "I don't know how to leave without losing everything. I smile so no one asks questions. If I stay, I disappear. If I go, I destroy my son." Sarah stared at the screen long after the words stopped feeling real. Emily hadn't been taken. She'd been deciding. Sarah called Mark in for another interview. This time, she didn't confront him. She listened. He spoke of sacrifice, of patience, of carrying the weight of a fragile wife. He described Emily as emotional, forgetful, dramatic. "She needed me," he said calmly. "I kept things together." "Did she feel safe?" Sarah asked. Mark's jaw tightened. Safe from what? The mask slipped just enough. Later that week, Mark filed a formal complaint against the department for harassment. The town rallied harder around him. Online comments turned cruel. Some women just abandoned their families. Stop wasting resources. The case was slowly dying, until a broken taillight brought it back to life. 3 months after Emily disappeared, a patrol officer in a neighboring state pulled over a woman driving an old sedan. She had brown hair cut short, no makeup, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Her license read, Anna Lewis. The officer noticed how she flinched when he spoke loudly, how she avoided eye contact. When he asked where she was headed, she hesitated. "Somewhere safe," she said quietly. The officer asked one more question. Are you running from someone? Her smile collapsed. Fingerprint results came back within minutes. Emily Carter was alive. Emily told her story in an interview room hours later. Mark had never hit her. He didn't need to. He controlled the money, corrected her memory, questioned her intelligence, isolated her from friends. When she cried, he called her weak. When she protested, he called her unstable. When she smiled, he approved. He said no one would believe me, Emily whispered, and I believed him. The final threat came quietly spoken over dinner. If she ever left, she would lose her son. So she didn't leave loudly. She disappeared. She planned it in silence. Cash withdrawals, a new email, bus routes memorized. On the morning, she vanished. She kissed her son goodbye and smiled so he wouldn't sense fear. I wasn't trying to be brave, she said. I was trying to survive. Mark Carter was arrested not for murder, but for coercive control, fraud, and obstruction. The trial was brutal. Defense attorneys painted Emily as unstable. Accusations flew. Her mental health was dissected in public. She sat through it all, hands clenched, refusing to smile. The conviction was partial, the sentence imperfect, but it was proof. Emily was reunited with her son under supervision. He hesitated at first, then recognized her. He cried. She didn't smile. Years later, Emily lives under a different name. She still catches herself smiling when she's afraid. Then she stops, because now she knows the truth she almost died keeping quiet. The most dangerous prison isn't built with walls. Sometimes, it's built behind a smile everyone believes.